I'm going to try Larry again. There he is.
There we go.
I feel like we owe it to Larry at this point.
All Things Unexplained.
He gives so
by
much.
Dr. Mounts,
Let's face it, we were always ready to roll without him anyway.
CJ Derringer,
Ain't nobody perfect, right?
and Smitty Neebs.
I've never planned out hardly anything my whole life. I just freeball.
Featuring Cajun Man.
I'm just old nobody, somebody looking for somebody.
Hello, hello, all our unexplained ones out there. It's me, CJ Derringer. And
Dr. Mounts.
him, Dr. Mounts. We're missing Smitty. We miss you, Smitty.
Not too much,
Certainly
though.
miss all the things. A little bit. You know, he's fun and quirky and looks up at the ceiling and we get to see his chin. So we miss his chin mostly.
Oh, yeah. And editing the beard noises off of his microphone. So fun. Yeah. It's like the highlight of my week. So I'm really going to miss that this week.
What will you do with all your free time?
Good question. Maybe I'll go for a run or something.
Oh, it's a good week for that.
I guess we've got the Unexplained update for November 2021. We survived Thanksgiving.
We are here. We did. Barely.
Oh,
I need
still
to
got
get
that
into
turkey
some
on the
serious
screen.
shape after Thanksgiving.
Well, that
it's
you could
chasing
save
us.
You could save that for New Year's. Goodbye, Unexplained turkey.
Well, lots of fun, exciting things going on. We had so much fun with our last Unexplained update. We just had to do it again. Because
That's right.
No matter what, things just keep happening in our world.
It's never going to be explained. That's for sure. There's so much out there. I feel like I'm just getting the tip of the iceberg for November 2021 as we move into the Christmas holidays. And we got our Unexplained Christmas show coming up. And then for New Year's, we're going to try to do some greatest hits, all things unexplained greatest hits for New Year's to celebrate, and remember just all that we've done since we first got this thing, kicked off. So
yeah, I mean, our Christmas special is so unexplained. Even I don't know what it is. You were messaging earlier
That's right.
about a special guest. I'm like, I don't know. What are we talking about? Who's our special guest?
We do have a special guest returning for an encore appearance, friend of the show, Sean Austin from the Sean Austin Band.
Great. Oh my gosh,
And
he was so talented.
he's amazing, and you know what? He's releasing a free Christmas album December 17th, the day before our show. And so he's actually going to perform some of it live on the show, a special Christmas treat, and he's going to take part in our Unexplained skits and whatever our unexplained Christmas traditions, whatever we might get into.
All right, looking forward to it. Now I know. Now
Yeah.
the show is explained to me.
Great. So
What would we
should
do
I
without
start
you?
off with
Keeping
what
it all
I
together.
think is the
Yes.
story of the week or the month, as it were?
I would love that.
Okay, so this is headline: Pentagon creates yet another new UFO study group.
Oh gosh.
That's right.
Okay.
The UAPs just keep coming. I know, right? But listen to this, CJ. So, in a follow-up to the headline making assessment of unidentified aerial phenomenon, we now know and love them as UAPs, that was issued this past summer of 2021, the Pentagon has now formed a new group that will continue their investigation of UFOs appearing in restricted American airspace. This super intriguing development happened last week by way of a Department of Defense press release where they announced the creation of, and I'm not sure how I feel about this name, but I do feel, just going a slight monologue here, that, man, I feel like we're just not paying attention to the right news. I think I saw Madonna in the news last week. I mean, come on. And
Right.
more about COVID, of course. Omicron is on the way. I told CJ, I'm convinced that was an evil planet-sized Decepticon in Transformers when I was a kid. And now,
Seriously.
what better way, though, to scare people of my generation than to name a new variant of COVID after one of your greatest nightmares? The most powerful Decepticon. Anyway, the Pentagon has formed. Let's see what you think about this name. The Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, AOIMSG. I am not making that up. And how typically government is that name?
I mean, at what point do we just accept that they are trying to pull one over on us? They're constantly coming out, oh, yes, we're looking into it. Here's this new special group. Here's this new document that we're going to release. We're going to actually not give you any information whatsoever, but we're going to keep you thinking that we're on your side, that we're trying to help you. But really, we're just trying to give it a fancy name and put the blindfold on you and hope you'll just go away quietly.
Right. And so here's what they say. The AOIMSG will do. They will synchronize efforts. I know, right? I feel like I'm on Wheel of Fortune here. I'll take an A, an O.
LNE.
They will synchronize efforts across the department and the broader U.S. government to detect and identify and attribute objects of interest in special use airspace, also known as SUA, and to assess and mitigate any associated threats to safety of flight and national security. Raise your hand if you believe they're going to synchronize efforts across these various government agencies.
No, the only effort they are synchronizing is keeping us in the dark.
Oh, absolutely. So, CJ, I was speaking to the All Things Unexplained military consultant, Mr. J, this week. We had a lot of great conversation, and Bob Lazar came up, and Bob Lazar had so many revelations, and one of the things, and people have come out that legitimately worked there, that is proven. They've said, wow, when I saw what Bob Lazar said, how he described riding the bus to these secret facilities, how he described the operation and the procedures, they all rang true. They're so true, and that I have coworkers that knew Bob Lazar, worked there with him. But he said, he only knew a tiny part of what was happening there. And each little department or segmented population of workers knew their own little piece, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is how these things work. They all just get their own little section, their own little piece, and they're not to be told about the other. They're all on a need-to-know basis.
Absolutely. I mean, it dehumanizes it. This is how people are able to do their job, right? I just make this one piece of the puzzle. That piece then turns into a giant bomb that goes and kills people in other countries, but I just make the little piece. I don't know what other people are doing, and then eventually it all gets added together. But that's totally what's happening in that instance as well. We want you to work on this and figure out what it is. You won't know what anybody else is doing, so you have no idea what the great big picture is here.
Oh, for sure. And some people are going to think this is, or see this as a really great thing, a really great advancement in ufology. The government stepping forward, being open about this, being transparent. But to me, it reminds me, you and I have both been in education for a long time, CJ. It reminds me of the typical bureaucracy of a government-controlled entity, and public schools being one of them, right? What better way to bury people's heads in the sands than with the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, synchronizing efforts across the broader U.S. government to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest in special use airspace, and to assess and mitigate any associated threats to safety of flight and national security. Well, hell, you just buried all the news about this, all legitimacy.
Right.
It just gets lost in the paperwork, lost in the shuffle, right? Just like the teacher.
Yeah.
Johnny's acting up over there, teachers can't just, call them out, take care of the problem. They're just going to let it go because they know they got mountains of paperwork.
The paperwork.
And so many layers of bureaucracy to go through, right?
In one of my first week of teaching, I had a student pick up a chair and throw it at me from across the room and narrowly miss another child. And I picked up the phone and called the principal and said, I need this child out of my room right now. And she said to me, why are you calling me with this?
Oh, absolutely.
Just there's a process that you need to follow. There's forms that you need to submit. There's other people that you need to go to first. I'm like, wait, when I was a kid, if you got in trouble, you went to the principal.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget one of the sternest teaching or talkings to I got at the beginning of my teaching career. And the principal pulled me aside. He was pissed. And he said, Tim, number one, never go above my head with anything. Number two, never go straight to me with anything.
Leave me alone. I'm here to do nothing.
Yes, you start with the discipline coordinator, and they'll pass it on to the building assistant principal, and they'll pass it on to the building principal, and they'll pass it on to the vice principal. And if they feel necessary, they'll pass it on to me. Otherwise, I don't want to hear about it, okay? Just stay in your lane in the junior high building.
Oh, goodness.
But to me, that's the news of the month.
You and I get our news from very different places.
Oh, yeah, well.
Because my news takes a little turn here.
That was my headline. Let's, no pun intended, but let's take a stealthy turn to in the news here, too.
Yes.